Good evening and welcome to this week's Meshech Chochmah Shir. I got a little ambitious as to the length of this, the Meshech Chochmah comment that I wanted to discuss this week. He has a lot to say on Parshas Bo. This particular comment is on Shemos Perek Yud Beis, Psukim Chaf Alf and Chaf Beis. That's Exodus 12, 21 to 22. And it goes on for about 7 or 8 paragraphs. It is quite long. So we'll see how much we could cover. I guess I should start with enough preambles. So the Meshech Chochmah opens like this. Mishchu ukchu lachem tzon. This is from the Pasuk. Mishchu ukechu lachem tzon lemishpachosechem. Go pick out lambs for your families. This is at the end of Hashem telling Moshe to do the Korban Pesach. Afterwards, Moshe calls over to the Ziknei Yisrael, the elders of the Jewish people, and relays the commandment. And there are 2 elements of this commandment that he relays that the Meshech Chochmah picks up on in the introduction to in the Dibur Maschil, the opening words of his comment. The first one is, still have problems pronouncing these words, Mishchu ukechu lachem tzon lemishpachosechem. Go pick out lambs for your family. And the second is from Pasuk Chaf Beis, V'yigatem al mashkof al shtei hamezuzos. So you're taking this tzon, this lamb, and you slaughter it for the Korban Pesach, and then you take a piece of azov, a sprig of hyssop, you dip it in the blood, and you put, you approach the mashkof, the top door lintel, and the 2 sides, and you put blood on them. So that's the 2 points he opens with. Take the sheep and put blood on the top lintel and the 2 sides. And he writes, Inyan, this is what he thinks it's all driving at. They split. There's a division in Mishlei. HaChachma, Heichan Metzuya. So the machlokas is, where does wisdom reside? Where is Chochmah? Belev or Barosh? Does wisdom reside in the heart or in the head? Va'birur, the explanation, the haRav showed Hema Kulan Belev. Feelings are all in the heart. Kamo Nikima, Ometz, Gaiva, Kas, More, vengefulness, strength, egotism, anger, fear. These are all in the heart. V'zeh Kosuv, and this is what it says, Libi Yachil Bikirbi. My heart starts or battles within me. Yasser Libo Mimkomo, Libo Kalev Ha'ari. These are various psukim that talk about the might, the power of the heart. Ulam Hamuskalos, however, the ideas, like from the word Seichel, Muskalos, Heim Barosh, those are in the head. Shemakor Hamuskalos, Vatziyurim, Vamadame, Vazocher. So, Sham Mikor, in the head is the source of ideas, enlightenment, however you want to define Muskalos. Tziyurim, imaginings, images, Madame, comparisons, Zocher, memory, Varosh, Melech She'evarim, and the Gemara says in Shabbos that the head is the king of the limbs, which we know because the brain is what gives signals to the other parts of the body. And if you include the pituitary gland, it really, really does control the workings of the rest of the body. And in that sense, it gives the orders. It's the king, whether it's the central nervous system conducting the heart, the lungs, the endocrine system controlling the emotions and adrenaline and so on. That's his first point. So I want to just mention that there's a trend to translate Rabbeinu Bachya's work, Chovos Halavavos. It's usually translated duties of the heart, and people who of this have more academic trend believe that we're being naive, and that it should really be duties of the mind, and that by translating it heart and focusing on emotion, we're taking a modern metaphor and putting it into the title of the book. But we see here that even back in the days of the Medrash on Mishlei, thought was understood to be in the head, not in the heart. So it's not so clear that this that translating Chovos Halavavos' duty to the heart is actually an error. But back to our quote here. Feelings all start when from the time of birth. Right? Babies have emotions. And this is what it means. The fear, the Yeitzer hara's fear is placed in a person. In Perek Chelek, that's in Sanhedrin. But intellect comes when the person's complete, right? So a person is born with a set of emotions, but intellect requires a childhood development. There are stages at which the intellect arrives as the person completes. And therefore, the Gemara in Nedarim calls this the Yeled Miskain V'Chacham. This is a pasuk actually in Mishlei that the Gemara in Nedarim is using. It says, Tov Yeled Miskain V'Chacham. The young, the poor but wise youth is better Mimelech Zakein Uchsil than the old but foolish king. Asher lo yada lihizaher od, who has no sense to heed warnings any further. The Gemara explains who is the young but wise youth, the young, poor but wise youth. That is the Yeitzer haTov, because the Yeitzer haTov develops with time. It comes really, they associate with bar mitzvah, and this is why obligation begins at bar mitzvah. The Yeitzer hara is called the Melech Zakein Uchsil, the old but foolish king, because it's older. It starts when one is born. So here he is associating emotion with the Yeitzer hara and intellect with the Yeitzer haTov. This stands in an interesting contrast. If I could just spend a second, Rabbi Yisrael Salanter's Igeres HaMusar. So in the Igeres HaMusar, which is generally printed, I believe, as the 10th letter in Or Yisrael, but in the Igeres HaMusar, he opens that a person is confined by his intellect, and his imagination, his dimyon, is left free. And then continues that it is clear that the good ideas come from the seichel and the bad ideas from this dimyon. Here, though, the Meshech Chochmah divides the lines separately, because to Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, dimyon goes straight with emotion, right? Because you can mentally picture things, that is what triggers emotional response. And therefore, his notion of Yeitzer hara, of this inclination that causes us to do evil, includes dimyon as well. However, here, the Meshech Chochmah puts tziyurim emdama, imagination, and the power of comparisons with the seichel. Not really sure what to do with that, but that is why there's a comment chain. So let's leave it as an open question. Hopefully somebody will comment to explain this. Now, let's now go to the next step. So that's step one. Step two. V'nei amru al Yisrael, they say about Israel, shehein, the Bnei Yisrael, meaning, shehein ma'minim b'nei ma'minim. See, it's not just a song lyric. We are this is a Gemara in Shabbos. We are the believers, the children of believers. This requires explanation. Tzarech lahavin. Hello, bumas ha'olam she'amru ha'emir go yellow kav. I think that should be yellow hav, but the text here has a kuf. By the nations of the world, it says, would a nation give up their God? And that the Gemara in Taina says, these are the Kusim, the Samaritans, V'akadarm, Shalalu Ovdim Lamayim, this one serves water, this one serves... Hello, Aminos Betibshus Keila, V'kol Amim came. All the nations are like this, or the pagan nations of the time were like this, that they believed in shtuyot, they believed in nonsense. However, the Jews, skipping forward a little, we could say Baruch Machaya Mesim, we could bless God as the reviver of the dead, even though it hasn't happened yet. So this one worships water, this one worships the stars, the moon, right? We worship an idea that we not only can't experience with our senses, they didn't even happen yet. We just trust that they will. Vaboror, skipping ahead again, Vaboror, this is a new paragraph. Dahargashos kulam benuyos mehateva. Feelings are all built from nature, from the natural, vamuchash, and the tangible. We would say nowadays probably the empirical, the experiential. Asher tisragesh mehem lev adam. That because of them, people have feelings. Kamo ahava v'hayofi v'gvura. Like love, aesthetic appreciation, a beauty. That was the word I was looking for. Gvura, strength. Ramim HaKamonim, the early nations. Hikdishu kol hakochot haTeva hit ragsham. They sanctified all these forces with their feelings. Mikol zeh veritum v'karu lahem shemos elilim. And so they uplifted them and they called them by the names of gods. Le'elil hayofi, the god of beauty. Le'elil hagvura, the god of might. Elil ha'ava, the god of love. We're talking about, the pagan gods. So you have Aphrodite, you have Mars, you have Yofi I don't even know who Yofi would be. And therefore, I'm not an expert on pagan gods, I guess. Misha lo bezeh haflaga iktishu v'yirkru ben elokai. And therefore, somebody who had some excel, like the most gibor, the mightiest, the most brave of the nation, they call him son of the God of might. In contrast to this, lo kein Hashem. Hashem's not like this. Shamar Avraham stood up, v'isponein, and understood she'ein chelek man Ephraim. There's no part of anything created, v'lo koach b'geshem, and no power in the physical. Ve'ein mitoar, ve'ein mitzuyar, ve'eino musag, shalo haya mituar mitzuyar, wasn't drawn or given form. Haya nigdar b'davar ma. Everything that is physical has limitations. Vayalo tchila, and had a beginning. So Avram started with a philosophical observation, right, that God could not be something physical. All the things that the other religions were relating to and declaring God were physical things, experienced things that would move them emotionally, and therefore they'd say, oh, this is a powerful thing, it's a God. Avraham took a different approach. Avraham understood what was the creator. And we say, Ma'aminim b'nei Ma'aminim, he says, Mipnei ma zachu Yisrael likros Shema. Why do Bnei Yisrael have the honor to say Kriyat Shema? Sheina Bnei Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov mevinim inyan philosophy. Because as the descendants of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, we understand this philosophical concept. So the contrast he's setting up, I would say in modern terms, is the difference between the God of the gaps and the true notion of the Creator. The God of the gaps is a term that's used nowadays to refer to gods that are created to explain things that we didn't have scientific explanations for. For example, lightning is scary, so we create a god of lightning, call him Thor, call him Zeus, and now we have a handle on lightning. We could always satisfy Zeus, and lightning won't strike us. This is the God of the gaps, and the God of the gaps is inherently tied to that physicality that causes fear, that causes us to declare something to be a god. Now, the problem with the God of the gaps is that as science gets better, we're afraid of fewer things because we have a handle on it, and we have engineering to protect us and lightning rods. And so you get today's heretic, today's atheist, who believes that as science progresses, there's less need for religion. And what Avram's religion did was separate us from all that and say that it's not about the experienced that's frightening or awe-inspiring, that's causing this emotional notion, and we're calling it sanctity, but actually that there's a cause for all the physical things that itself can't be physical because it can't be limited, and everything physical is limited. So, harbe lahen. Okay. Now, where do mitzvos fit in this schema? So, skipping a few lines ahead again. Hirbe lahen b'mitzvos. Hashem gave us lots of mitzvos. L'chalek lahem hargashos. To apportion or to smooth out the emotions. Kamo ava. Like love. Avas reim. Love of friends. Chaim mishpacha. Family life. Avas ha'uma. Love of our nation. Or nikoma. Nikama, how do we use nikama? How do we use vengefulness? Linkom bin misone Hashem, to exact revenge on those who hate God. Chesed, it mediates the emotion of chesed, of loving kindness. Lasos im chaveros, so that we would do it with our friends. V'chol haragashos, makom lahem b'mitzvos. Every feeling has a place in mitzvos. Yofi pri Yeitz hadar. So you look at the beauty of your pri Yeitz hadar, of your esrog. Va'ach al zman v'acharei achag nizrak. Even though after time and after the holiday, it's thrown out. Ukiyotze bezeh. And similarly, v'zerata HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'zakos es Yisrael. This is how HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted. L'zakos is usually translated as to give Yisrael, to give the Jews merit. But he writes here, Perish Nikayon, to clean us. Milashon Zachiti Libi, I have purified my heart. So he says that the reason why mitzvos are physical is because it's the world of the physical that moves us emotionally. And since it's the job of mitzvos to refine our emotions, therefore Hashem gave us many mitzvos, many acts that affect on our emotions. This is a fact that the Musar emphasizes. If you want to fix a midah, studying Mesilat Yesharim is not enough. You could make the study of Mesilat Yesharim an emotional experience through something called hispa'alus, making it a self-changing, but it has to be an experiential thing. But the core of Musar is the exercises. You have to practice patience. You want to work on patience, set aside a period a day where no matter what happens, you won't get angry. Pick an easy period, something that's ready, that's available, maybe 15 minutes, but some piece, and exercise, practice. Because it is, as he said, the emotions, benuyos me'ateva, are made of are physical things, umuchash, and experiential. So we need the experientialness of the mitzvos that Hashem gave us to refine our midos, to refine our feelings. Now, a little further, he makes a beautiful point about the uniform of the Kohen. The Kohen Gadol, l'chei nasa Tzitz ala rosh, Therefore, this is why the Kohen Gadol carried a tzitz on his head, a golden plate that was tied on with blue thread. Vayikasuv, and on this was embossed Kodesh Lashem. I think embossed is the wrong term. It's extruded. Kodesh Lashem, sacred to Hashem. Shaseichel kulo kadosh, because the mind upon which this rested, the head, is entirely kadosh. Amnam al halev, but on the heart, mekor gashos, the source of feelings, kasiv b'nei Yisrael, was written the names of the children of Yisrael, the different shvatim, the son, Reuven, Shimon, and so on. Lahoros hashar gashos iu el hamitzvos, the feeling should be toward mitzvos. Sheruban hema his achdus ha'umah, because their focus is to unify the nation. This notion that mitzvos are primarily about Beinam L'Chavero is a great one, subject of a book coming out, Bezos Hashem, next month, maybe a little later, but it's not our focus right now. Right now what we're focusing on is this notion that Torah acts on the brain and the intellect. Mitzvos were given to us because they're physical, and therefore they act on our emotions, and therefore it is the Choshen resting on the heart, and this is why the Choshen cures Avodah Zarah. It says that the Choshen was mechaper for Avodah Zarah. Why? Because Avodah Zarah is the worship of those things that move us emotionally. That was the key mistake behind Avodah Zarah. Now, when do we actually develop this yira? So we get it at, when do we actually become these children of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov who embody this maminim b'nei maminim at Yamsuf? V'zeh zachu Yisrael me'ez sheyardu l'yam. This is what Israel merited from the time that they went down into Yamsuf. Umasru na'atzmam al kiyum emunaso, and endangered themselves to fulfill his faith. Yisparach lebilti lahashlim imam mitzrim. V'nochal lomar mimnei ma zachu Yisrael lemalchus. Why did the Bnei Yisrael merit malchus, merit kingship? Hainu lahamli chaseichel al haivarim, which is to place the seichel as king over the limbs, vargashos, and over the emotions, b'mnei sheyardu layam, because we went down into Yamsuf. U'kamokein amru b'tosefta brachos, so too it says in Tosefta and Brachos, sheYehuda zachal malchus, sheshivto yarad liyam tchila. The Shevet Yehuda became kings because they were the first ones to go into the sea. And this is what it says in Tehillim, B'tzeis Yisrael Mitzrayim, Ha'isa Yehuda l'kodsho. When Yisrael left Mitzrayim, Yehuda was for his holiness. Hayam Ra'ah, and the sea saw, Vayanos, and fled. So this pasuk is taken as proof that it was Shevet Yehuda that went into the water first. And therefore they experienced Malucha more than the other nations, and more the other Shvatim, and therefore they end up king. Shal Yidei Hayam Nasu Yisrael Moshlem Al Kol Argashos. Because through the sea, the Jewish people became rulers over their emotions. As he says later at the end of this paragraph, Kizeh HaCheres HaGemura, this is true freedom, Ki HaSeichel Yimshol Al Hargashos, when the intellect can be in control of the emotions. This is what he means now in the pasuk when it says that you should take a sel of avos, and then you pick to unite the family around this sheep for the Korban Pesach. So the family and friends all have to get together to finish the Korban Pesach. You can't, if you're only eating a kazayas, you're divvying up olive-sized pieces of the shawarma. The Korban Pesach would take many people to finish. Again, this notion that the primary purpose of mitzvos is to unify us bein adam l'chavero. So this is the notion, and then you put this is the notion of the mitzvah in this pasuk. Similarly, v'yigatem el mashkov el shnei mezuzos, put it on the lintel and the two sides. Ze Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. These three sides of the doorway represent Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Shemehem bo lachem kol hamitzios, because it's from them that came all these truths. So we're taking the truths of the doorway, we're taking the experience of the mitzvos, and we're subjugating it to the truths represented by the doorway. This is really, there's a essay that I once translated, some Torah musings, by Rosh Volbi that he wrote for a journal by Laniado Hospital. And one of the more shorter points he makes in this essay, it's not a central theme, he likens the intellect and the emotions to an orchestra. So the intellect is the conductor, and it tells the conductor is marking out the rhythm, and he tells each of the instruments when it's time to play. And let's say anger is the timpanis, all the way in the back, because it's a very loud emotion. Anger is a very loud mita, but it's critical when it's needed, but they're very rarely played. So that's over there. Over there may be the joy of the woodwinds, the sadness of the oboe, which I think is a woodwind, so whatever, maybe I got that wrong. The violins, each one plays in its proper time, but it's the conductor that makes out of all these emotions and all these kishronos, abilities, all these midos, makes out of them a single orchestra. So the intellect is the conductor of this orchestra in Rav Volbi's mashal. And it's the same thing, although without the pretty metaphor, that the Meshech Chochmah is saying now. That the role, one of the things Yahadus does by having us follow a God who's an idea, as opposed to the experienced realities that move us emotionally, is this notion that we're subjecting our emotions to the intellect. That the mitzvos have to come out of the Torah. The mitzvos, the experienced realities that we find our midos, have to come from the Torah, which develops our intellect first. And that's the relationship, and why there's only one Kohen Gadol wearing both the Tzitz on his head and the Choshen on his heart. There's one more theme that's recurring in the Meshech Chochmah. The Meshech Chochmah ties to this idea. I want to read in full. With this, I'll close because I think it's been longer than usual. V'nei yesh laharich. It would be appropriate now to explain at length. Shekol mekomos hamukdashim. All the holy places, ein yesoda min hadas. They are not established by the religion, by the faith, by ritual. Rak me ha'uma. Their holiness is established from the nation. V'asharashim, and the roots. Kamo Hara Moriah. Like Hara Moriah, Mount Moriah, the Temple Mount. Shemisham Nivra Adam. From there, Adam was created. That's where the dirt was taken that God shaped into Adam. Visham Hikri V'Avram Etz Yitzchak. And that was the site of the Akedah where Avram was about to sacrifice Yitzchak. V'chei Nivchar Al Pi Navi. And similarly was chosen by a Navi. Ubadas, in the religion, in the Torah, Lo Kasuv, is only written, Rak Makom Asher Yichar Hashem, the place which Hashem will choose. Har Sinai Makom Adas. Har Sinai, though, was a place that the religion chose. Kivan Shenistalka Shechina Mimenu, and when Hashem's presence, when the revelation was over, Volu Tzonu Bakar, the sheep, the cattle went up. Shechalila Har Gashos Lo Yitu Liyaches Ladases Tziur. Because God forbid you would let your emotions attach an image to the religion, to the faith. So you can't, Har Sinai can't be holy, because if Har Sinai were holy inherently and stayed holy, deep drasha, and this is the idea with which I want to conclude. So the Meshech Chochmah is saying the essence of religion is to have a higher truth, not to be led by one's emotions, but to use the truth to rule over the emotions, which is why the head is the king and the heart